forgot you were coming today. Speaking of forgetting things, let's learn about memory. Memory is the process of retaining and recalling information for later use. Now, there are 3 steps to memory. First is the encoding or the processing of information. Second is the storage of information. And third and finally is the retrieval of information. Now, let's start off with encoding. What is it? Encoding is the process of processing information. There's 3 different types of encoding used in memory. Visual, which involves an aesthetic aspect of the information. Acoustic, which involves an audio aspect of the information. Or semantic, which gives meaning and association to the information. If we think of encoding as a pool, visual and acoustic encoding are the swimmers, and semantic encoding is the diver. Now, why is semantic encoding so effective? Well, once again, because it associates meaning. Since we're processing so much information, millions of neurotransmitters worth of information are traveling across our brain every minute. So how do we choose what goes in and what doesn't? Well, thankfully, there's a 3-step process for memory that helps us understand what goes through someone's head when something's going through someone's head. Sensory memory is your immediate environment. Now, these memories stay with you for about 4 or 5 seconds, analyzing your surroundings and taking in all of the information they can. Some of this information is then transferred to the short-term or working memory. Now, the short-term memory houses a few items for a certain period of time until they're done being used. Once they're done being used, they fade back. It's also called the working memory because past solutions and new problems can come together, and you can work to find a solution to your new problem based on your old knowledge. The third and final stage, and probably the most complex, is long-term memory. Now, like everything else in psychology, we can't just stop somewhere. So, of course, long-term memory has 2 stages. What are they, you ask? Great question. The first of the 2 stages is explicit memory, also known as declarative memory. This deals with the conscious recall of items, instead of the unconscious recall you get with implicit memories. Explicit memories tend to cover the half of long-term memory that is facts and life experiences. The center of the brain that processes explicit memory is the hippocampus, a neural organ located in the limbic system of the brain. Damage to the hippocampus can lead to severe memory loss. Implicit memory is the older, wired-in brother of explicit memory. Implicit memory deals with motor skills and cognitive skills, but it also deals with the effects of classical and operant conditioning. Memory has perplexed us for thousands of years, and it will probably continue to perplex us. Imagine you're playing on a hot summer day. Your mom and dad give you a popsicle, and an alien shows up on the street. Now, you're probably thinking that's ridiculous and gibberish, right? Well, what if it was true? Studies show that memories can and often are falsified depending on different factors. So, Jay, are you saying that memory can lie? Yes, and it often does. Like the Freemasons controlling the US or the Trilateralist Commission controlling the world, retrieval cues control your memory. What exactly are retrieval cues? Retrieval cues is anything that triggers your memory. You could be talking about skiing with a buddy. He could say the word toilet. You would remember a story about a toilet you went to in Australia and it was snowing. It's that kind of memory association. Now, retrieval cues also explain false information. Theories like mood-congruent memory and context memory state that the retrieval cues in any specific location or event are going to be different. Therefore, your memory depiction in any specific event will be different. I've talked about memory a whole lot today, but I feel like there's something I'm forgetting. That's right, forgetting. Why is our body's natural process to dump some of our information? Well, it turns out living with limitless pill-type minds wouldn't actually be all that ideal for us. A Russian journalist who's claimed to remember most of his life said he's not able to reason abstractly, and quality of life has gone significantly down since it happened. So could it be that forgetting things is our body's way of charging us? Is our body's way of keeping us clean, turning us off at night? Could be.
While we might take memory for granted, it is actually a complex process that allows us to learn and recall vast amounts of information every moment of every day. It's such a complex process that, although memory has been studied for many years, psychologists aren't entirely sure how it works. What psychologists do know is that the brain's hippocampus, thalamus, and amygdala are all involved in the complex process of memory. They also agree that the 3 stages involved in the memory process are encoding, storage, and retrieval of information. The first stage of memory is encoding. When we are exposed to information of any kind, we take the information and begin processing it in visual, acoustic, and semantic form. This means that we take information either as a picture or a sound, or that we give the information meaning. One way to understand encoding is to think of it as the method that you use to lay the groundwork for remembering information. Let's look at an example. You look at your professor's phone number on the syllabus because you have a question about an assignment. As you look at the number, you are using visual coding. If you say the number to yourself a couple times as you reach for the phone, you're coding acoustically as well. You might notice that the phone number is just 1 digit off from an old number your parents used to have when you were younger, and you think about how slim the odds are of something like this happening. The words that you use in your self-talk give meaning to the number, so you have also used semantic coding. The groundwork for remembering your professor's phone number is in place. Storing information is about keeping the information available so that it can be recalled at a later point. There are 2 main types of memory: short-term memory, STM, and long-term memory, LTM. Short-term memory is sometimes referred to as active memory. Information that is in STM lasts only up to 30 seconds, and most adults can store 5 to 9 items in STM. If the information is attended to in some way, it can become part of long-term memory. Information in LTM can last for years or even a lifetime. The information in LTM can be recalled as needed. The phone number for your professor, if not attended to, could be recalled only for about 20 to 30 seconds. If you looked at visual, rehearsed, acoustic, and/or thought about how it looks so similar to your parents' old phone number, semantic, then it could eventually move to LTM. The key to storing information in LTM is repetition. The more you think about it or use it, the greater the chance of storing the phone number in LTM. You can try it out. If you look at a number only once, you won't be able to recall it the next day or even 10 minutes later. On the other hand, if you repeat the number, visualize the number, and/or dial the number frequently over time, it will move to LTM. By the way, you can also try this with your studies. Frequent reviewing of exam material will go to LTM. Retrieval is about recalling the information that has been stored away. Retrieval from STM is done sequentially. Retrieval from LTM, on the other hand, is done by association or by active questioning. In other words, information from a current situation can aid in retrieving information that has been stored in the past by associating cues from the current situation to cues from stored information. Sights, sounds, and smells are examples of cues that could aid in retrieval. Posing questions is another way to retrieve previously stored information. Being asked or asking oneself specific questions can aid in the retrieval of stored information. Encoding, storage, and retrieval are the three stages involved in remembering information. The first stage of memory is encoding. In this stage, we process information in visual, acoustic, or semantic forms. This lays the groundwork for memory. The second stage is storing information so it can be recalled at a later point. There are two main types of memory: short-term memory, STM, and long-term memory, LTM. The third stage is retrieval. Retrieving information can be done through association or through questioning.